Okay, here we are. Michael Talbot-Kelly here. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk a little bit about the hero's journey and the heroine's journey and how it is that we answer those calls. You know, I'm very fond of this whole model of the monomyth, and although I think there are a lot of myths, I think this is probably a pretty accurate description of an archetypal story that we all need to step into. And I'm going to map it out a little bit, very simply here, of answering that call, and then how we get through that ordeal, and the challenges of that, and in the end how we can step into that aliveness. Because we've been talking about the purpose, and purpose is plural, right? So Johnny needs to really answer the call of being that poet. He is a good lawyer, but he knows that that's just providing bread and butter on the table, and no small thing, being a lawyer, but that's not his passion. That's his day job. What he's really passionate about, and what he might do part-time or work on a book quietly, a book of poems quietly over 5 years, or really step into it and take a year out, a sabbatical, and focus on it, is the poetry. And that's a call, right? There's a call to a deeper relationship. We know we're living in a marriage or a relationship that is just sucks. It's really full of saggy energy, always arguing, always, and nobody's willing to go and upgrade or go to therapy, or because all sorts of things can happen if people are willing. But so there's a call to a deeper relationship, and so sometimes we need to answer that call within ourselves to a deeper relationship with ourselves, because that's what's reflecting on the outside. Is the old relationship. We've talked about that on the Slope of Freedom Mountain, on the relationship part. That's in the newsletters back there. But we're talking about the purposes of just stepping into, and owning the calls that we know that are inside of it. I mean, everybody knows, right? Leonard Cohen sang that song. Everybody knows that there's all sorts of corruption. Everybody knows that we have a call. Everybody knows that there's things that we've got to do. And everybody knows that we're eating too much ice cream and watching too much TV and being on the screen, addicted out of our mind, and overwhelmed, and everybody knows this, right? So let's not pretend that there's not some knowing here. There really is. And I want to say to you that everybody understands that there is a call, and the first step sometimes is saying yes to this call, right? So there's a purpose. We've talked about the purpose formula that puts us into our service, or our service purpose call, however you want to say that. That's a call. That's a territory that you're saying yes to. And then what happens when you say yes, because everybody knows, right? We're talking here about hero. Hero is the outside challenge. Last video we talked about the doing on the outside. The heroine is the one that is on the inside. Let's make that a R. Don't you love my writing? Not so much sometimes, right? So this is the heroine, is the inside journey. That law, the force of nature is the call on the outside, getting stuff done. There's a call on the inside where we have to awaken to, different resources and strengths and calls that we have. This is very much a, slaying the dragon on the outside, or defending the village, or standing up for our family, or abuse. This is very much the heroine on the inside, is like saying, I need to really think and feel and sense into my full awakening. So one is outside, one is inside, and of course the journey. Why the journey? Because that is the journey that everyone wants to take. Everybody wants to cross the mountain, the Freedom Mountain, right? If this is Freedom Mountain, we know it's got 3 different slopes. If we're answering the call from work to service, from just making money to now being a poet, from just living in a saggy half and half equals 1 relationship to a 1 + 1 = 3 relationship, or a call from being living in that saggy, unhealthy relationship with yourself to now really stepping into your aliveness. They're all calls. They're all different slopes of Freedom Mountain. And so the first step is, in these 3 steps is, and this, by the way, is on my website. You can download the 3-Step Hero PDF. It's there. It allows you to really step into this, do this. You move from a 2-step Bulgarian dance to a 3-step Celtic dance. Nothing against Bulgarian. My ancestors come from there. Nothing against the Irish. I love those guys, especially the dark Irish. Anyway, another story. So the second step is the ordeal. This is where so here you say yes to the call. Here now you've done it. You've actually come to the other side. You've claimed that you are now living. You got the call answered, right? So this is, if we can say it this way. Let me see if we can do this. So this is saying yes to the call. This is you actually, a bigger yes. You actually answered the call. And here is like, oh my God, like I am living the call. I am answering that call every day. So it's kind of like, let's see how I set this up. This is what we call, so we're saying yes to call. This is saying, yes, I've answered the call. Here you go through the ordeals to answer the call. So now here you've answered, ANSWERD. And here you are every day answering. So it becomes, you go from a verb to a noun, like you're living it, right, every day. It's not just a one-time deal. You're answering the call of self, you're answering the call of relationship, you're answering the call of work. And then you might be answering a call of more self, more awakeness, right? And then even more marriage. 1 and 1 makes 3, but a deeper version. So there's different parts of us that need to go across here, that we need to get across the mountain through the ordeals. Your symptoms are purpose-driven to get you into your wholeness. So why? So you can come back down now and deliver your story into... your story is you're answering this call every day. People see you walking around in that aliveness, in that vitality, intimacy, and prosperity, and they go, whoa, I want that. And that inspires them to say yes to the call. They say yes, the ordeal start, a lot of work, symptoms purpose-driven, got to get through sometimes depression, sometimes anxiety, sometimes bankruptcy, sometimes cancer, sometimes really nasty stuff. The ordeals are very real, people. And then you come back down here where you now are really, you're living all of it. You're living larger than life, right? I love drawing these guys that are all heart. We talk about mindfulness. This is mindfulness. This is heartfulness with mindfulness, right? Of course, but with standing on a very solid territory of that ground of being, right? You could be a sunflower, but the sunflower has to stay connected with the ground, because that's where the source of the energy is. Even though the sun is up there, we got to stay with the being. We've got the doing energy of, getting stuff done, coming up every day and getting stuff done. But then when we do both really well, we're now fully expressing ourselves, and that sunflower becomes like radiant and tall and strong and healthy and just like us, right? So what else do we want to say about that? That just these are the 3 stages: the call, the ordeal, and then the third part is what Joseph Campbell called the reincorporation. So you into the corp, the body, and tell your story. Reincorporation. This is where you now bring the story of who you really are, deeply, madly, and all the challenges, the dragons that you met, the ordeals that you got through. You bring this story down to the village and you live it, you walk it, you own it. That aliveness is what changes everything for people. It changes everything for you. And then you inspire other people to get across there, and it becomes this beautiful... This is how we're going to reimagine the world, people. So we want to remember that so many people are struggling in this, that's the addictive cycle. They know there's a call to get out of the addiction, but then they go into a shadow ordeal, the downtown east side in Vancouver, and they start using drugs to try to get through the ordeal instead of doing the therapy or going into the wilderness or working with mentors or what have you. This is very challenging work. It's no small thing to step into a deeper purpose of life. There's a lot of, people that are, not able to, get all of them across here, but they can get some of themselves across there, right? So that's That's what we know for sure. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. The purpose formula leads for us to getting into the 3 forces of nature, the doing, the being, and becoming. This is what we discover in the process, that we have to get through some of our symptoms. They're purpose-driven. What we're tripping on is where our treasure is, right? So many teachers have said that. The actual symptoms that we're tripping on over and over and over again is us going through this, and we're not actually pushing through to get to the other side. It's why 80% of people are really in some sort of addictive cycle and not fully sharing their story with the village. And therefore the village doesn't get upgraded, right? So we got this. That's not you. This is what we're doing for the love of humanity, love of your family, for the love of you just being you. I want you to get this. I want you to embody this. I want you to care deeply about humanity. I want you to serve. That's what we call it, serving humanity. You want to mobilize all of this fabulous energy and come alive so that you can then make a difference in the world, right? We all want purpose. We all want to know understand our contribution to humanity, and we all want to matter. We know that. So this is how we do it, right? Okay, well, tune in next time. We've got more goodies for you before we wrap up this Slope of Freedom mountain of turning work into serving humanity. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.